Welcome back to the LMV Political Boot Camp. Again, thank you for joining us, especially those who had the stamina to join us this morning, and now you're back for the afternoon session. And I promise you, it's going to be another dynamic session of the LMV Boot Camp. As you heard earlier from some of our guest panelists, this campaign stuff is a very technical area. And when we talk about law, we're talking about a very niche technical area as well. And you can't even call yourself a candidate unless you get on that ballot. At this time, I'd like to pass the microphone to one of my partners, Kareem Vesip, who will talk to you a bit about some of the services that LMV provides.
Good evening, everybody. Again, so glad that you're with us for our boot camp. Just wanted to quickly just take a few moments to let you know that the LMV Law Group offers a suite of services that are tailored to meet the needs of candidates and campaigns that are seeking to win public office. And one of the services that we offer is candidate qualification. You should know that New York state law outlines the requirements for an individual to validly run for office. And one of the things that we do for clients is to ensure that they're qualified to run for office generally, and that they're also qualified for the particular office in which they want to serve. If there are challenges that are made to an individual's qualifications to be a candidate, LMV Law Group represents clients in administrative proceedings and/or civil proceedings in Supreme Court in order to ensure access to the ballot. You've already heard some of our panelists talk about the importance of having legal counsel. LMV Law Group is here to serve for those that look to run for office and campaigns that need to be able to have counselors at law throughout this process. Alan?
Thank you, Kareem. LMV Law Firm, we work on making sure that your petitions are valid. To run for elected office in the state of New York, you must collect signatures, and those signatures must be collected on what is called a petition. LMV Law Firm will work with your political team to make sure that these petitions are valid and can hold up to scrutiny and hold up to being challenged. If your petitions are challenged, we will defend your petitions in civil administrative courts and also in civil court as well. So LMV will work with you throughout the entire process to not only make sure that the signatures that you acquire are signatures that will be able to hold up to being challenged, but also to ensure that you get on the ballot, remain on the ballot, and are able to be to run for elected office. And now I'll pass it back to my brother, Mr. Jacques Leandre, to continue this political campaign boot camp.
Well, Al, let me just jump in real quick just before we go back to Jacques. I do want to be able to talk about one other reality of running for office. I think that one thing that's become very popularized is the fact that once election day is over, doesn't mean that it's the end of the campaign. As a matter of fact, sometimes there are post-election challenges, and there have been individuals that have ultimately lost the campaign because of a post-election challenge. Sometimes there are elections that are too close to call that requires recounting of ballots. Sometimes there are lawsuits that are filed. You also have to keep in mind that we're in an age now that we now have ranked choice voting, new redistricting maps. All of these things taking place in this pandemic era really raises some interesting legal issues that may impact the campaign. Just like LMV Law Group has talked about the other aspects of running a campaign, we also offer post-election representation, guiding you through and representing you through post-election challenges in order to ensure that the result that you're looking for is the one that you ultimately get. And at a minimum, that people have access to the ballot, that people have the right to be able to cast a vote for the candidate of their choice, and that everyone's vote is properly counted. So when you think about the various services that you'll need if you decide to run for office or you're working for a campaign that you believe in, consider LMV Law Group for the various suite of products that we offer to our clients. At this point, I'll turn it back over to Jacques Leandre to continue us in our boot camp program. Thanks, Jacques.
Thank you much, Kareem Bessip and Alan Messina. And just think, in case you're like, wow, these brothers know what they're doing. But you know, I'm from the show and prove era. I actually have to see or hear something in order to believe it. We just want to highlight a testimonial from one of our former clients in this past election cycle who benefited from the services that we provided.
Hi, my name is Jessica Simmons, and I'm talking to you today because I was a candidate running for City Council in District 39 in Brooklyn last year. At this time last year, I was pretty excited and nervous. I had never run for office before, but my work is in education. I've been a teacher and a principal, and I really thought that I could have a larger impact on City Council, given my background in focusing on educational equity for all students. Because I hadn't run for office before, I knew I wasn't going to be able to raise as much money as people who had been in the system. But I figured with my entrepreneurial, scrappy attitude, I had started a school, I've done a lot of hard things. I was like, I can run for office. I learned pretty quickly, and the reason I'm talking to you today is that in and of itself was not enough. The Board of Elections is set up to make it extremely difficult for someone to run for office if you've never done it before. I can tell you that the reason I got kicked off the ballot is because we put a sticker in the wrong place. And if you know what I'm talking about, you'll laugh. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're really going to laugh because it sounds so ludicrous. But because when I was filing my paperwork, we didn't put a sticker in a place that had a number on it that the BOE already had, I got kicked off the ballot. Got kicked off the ballot last minute, literally 10 p.m. at night. On the phone with multiple lawyers trying to find someone that wasn't already representing someone in my district who could support me in taking the BOE to court and getting back on the ballot. And that's how I know LMB and we're talking to you today. I just want to encourage all of you, particularly people running for office for the first time. You have to get a lawyer. I really thought that it wasn't going to be something I had to do. It actually took 2/3 of the money I raised to pay to have lawyers help me get back on the ballot, but they did. We took the BOE to court and I was able to get returned to the ballot and run in the primary in June. And I am so, so grateful because without their help, there was really no way I was going to be able to do that. So please, whatever you do, especially if you're running for office for the first time, engage legal counsel, or I guess talk to someone who's done it before to make sure you don't make these mistakes. But honestly, it's not worth all that hard time and effort. And I spent a long time laughing at all these people that had lawyers thinking I was better than them. And they were laughing at me in the period of time I was kicked off the ballot. So please feel free to reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help. And I also wrote an op-ed, which can be shared as well, about this difficulty. But we need good people in office who are not from families where that was the norm, or people who are coming from money, or people who have this or that privilege. And so thank you to those of you who are considering running for office, and wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. And again, welcome back to the second session of the LMB Law Group. You heard it from one of our past clients who was knocked off the ballot, and we sued the DOE and got it placed back on the ballot. And in fact, Kareem Bassett, who has over 20 years of litigation, presented on behalf of the LMB Law Group to represent her at a hearing. The first session that we just left off, you heard from Michelle Achacampong regarding labor union endorsements and how important labor union endorsements are. Well, we continue with endorsements portion with our wonderful sister. Again, she doesn't need an introduction. You already know who she is. In fact, back in 2008, she was one of the first, if not only at one point, political out here who supported a gentleman with pretty big ears, a small-time senator from Chicago, Illinois, and it was Rosalind Spigner who brought his campaign front and center in Southeast Queens when no one thought. This was before the Iowa primaries, before the New Hampshire primaries, and Rosalind Spigner is currently a district leader out here in Queens and also the chair of the Douglas King Democratic Club out here in Queens. And she's going to talk to you a bit about Democrat club endorsements, civic organization endorsements. So this is a person who's a practitioner on the ground, hitting the ground running. And she's not much of words. She's all about action. And she's also my sister from Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. I bring to you Rosalind Spigner, District Leader.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jacques, and to your esteemed team of colleagues, and to my panelists, my panelists who are also on with me. I meant to say my
fellow panelists, right?
I was going to say, are they all women? As my sister panelists, because I was back and forth. Are they my sister panelists? Okay, and guests. Thank you so much. I'm District Leader Rosalind Spigner, and I'm very excited to participate in this forum. We all need boot camp every now and then. We need that experience to make us tougher. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about myself. So as Jacques said, I am a district leader, which makes me a member of the Queens Democratic Organization. So I'm on the executive board of the Queens Democratic Organization. I am also the executive leader for the Douglas King Regular Democratic Club Incorporated. I am co-leader with Danique Miller. What brought me to this point? So as Jacques said, I have been engaged in politics on and off for quite a while, from high school, actually. I ran for junior class president in high school, and I think that's where I actually got myself involved. I became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated while a student in college at Hunter College. So was very active in college, and, you know, so always sort of kind of being a part of something. During my time in Delta, I helped quite a few members get elected to positions within the sorority. And it, you know, I was so good at it. It was just so much fun. Like I would say, come on. And everyone was saying, oh, let's just get Rosalind, she'll run your campaign. And it was just so much fun to do. Because I was a correction officer, and now I'm retired, but during that time wasn't really able to really get involved in politics to a degree where I could actually run for office, but I could always help others. So I got involved with C. Virginia Fields when she ran for mayor of New York City. She would be the first person that I would say that I actually got really involved with. And then I went on to help in 2008. We ran the primary for Barack Obama. And at the time, the district that I lived in was CD5, and we were able to get him elected in CD5. I'm sorry, CD6 it was. Now it's CD5, but it was CD6 at the time. And we were able to get him elected. And in 2011, I came back around. I was the regional lead for the borough of Queens for the Obama campaign. So I had a much larger role and I had more time. I was retired at the time, and I was really able to get engaged. So the first position that I ran for, I ran for delegate for President Barack Obama. I was one of the delegates that served at the convention in North Carolina. So that was actually my first race that I can put on a resume as my first race. The second time that I ran for district leader. So I thought that, oh, hey, I was, the regional lead for Queens. And I was going around helping everyone with their petitions. And, I'm a retired correction officer, I'm a Delta. I took so many children to college for 20 years, planning and organizing historically Black colleges. Everyone knew me as the Delta person. I was president of my chapter, Queens Alumni. So when the late Barbara Clark passed away and her district leader seat was open, I said, oh, that's something that I've been doing anyway. I've been organizing in my community. I would be the person, the lead, the point person that people would give their petitions to circulate. So I said, well, let me go to the county members and see if they would endorse me. And they did not. So I know what it's like to be on both sides, the side where you are endorsed and the side where you're not. I even took letters, 25 letters from people in the community saying, hey, Roz is, she's done this, she's worked with this group, that group, and it didn't matter. They had someone else in mind. So at that time, I said, you know what? I really want this position. So I'm just going to have to understand that power isn't something that someone is going to hand to you. Power is something that you really have to really want and pursue. And that is what I did. And I won that election. And now here I am. So to get back to what it is that a district leader is looking for. So first of all, when you are running, what I look for a person who's similar to me. I look for that person who's worked very hard in the community. I look for a person who is someone who is not afraid of a challenge. I look for someone who is articulate. I look for someone who is intelligent. And I look for someone who has passion, someone who is really going to go out there and, and be a force to change the community, and to someone who is able to get along with others in the community. I think that's important. You have to be able to build relationships. You have to be able to work with the elected officials. Even if you disagree, you don't disagree, in a nasty kind of way. You have to be able to have conversations with people because you have to work together. So you have to be a bridge builder. So I'm looking for people when they approach me for endorsements. Now, why do we need endorsements from a district leader or a Democratic club? Because most people who are running for office, you have to pick a party. You have to choose a party. So most choose the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Okay, we talked about earlier, it was mentioned that you had to get signatures for petitions and so on and so forth. So you have to select a party to run in. When you select a party to run in, the next step is to approach that party for an endorsement. So the first step to approach a party is to go to that local Democratic club. And you would say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm interested in running for the assembly. I'm interested in running for city council, whatever it is. I want to run for Congress. I want to run for whatever. May I have your endorsement? They normally would send a resume. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll call me, and I'm going to tell you, the last city council race, I got phone calls. Hey, Roz, I'm so-and-so. I'm running for city council. I said, okay, thank you. You're not asking me for anything. You're just telling me what you're doing. And that's okay too. It's not an ask. And then when you don't hear from me, then they're like, Roz, didn't I tell you I was running for city council? And I said, yes, you did tell me, but you didn't ask me for anything. And if you did, I would have said, please send me your resume so I can review your resume, because I've never seen you in my life. Okay. Or I've never heard of you. Or I asked 3 or 4 people about you and they have never heard of you. So we had a lot of that with the last city council race. So I'm looking for someone who is in the community that we know something about. You're talking about running for a position where you're serving the public. I would like to know that you served the public at least once before in your life. The other thing is, we're looking to make sure that people live in the district. You have people who don't live in the district who will actually use an address and say that they live in the district just to run for office, which I think it's really like almost like a theft of services, because you don't live here, you've done nothing here, and now you want to run for office. So I'm looking for people, A, who live in the district, B, who's actually done some work in the district, C, that you are a registered Democrat. It doesn't make sense for you to come to me for support if you are an independent, if you're a registered independent. We are the Democratic Party. So I'm looking for someone who is a registered Democrat. We are looking for someone who can actually stand in front of a crowd and give a presentation. We're looking for someone who has all types of skills as far as, being able to, on the issues, you have to know what the issues are in that community, what the nonprofits are in that particular community, what are the issues and problems of a particular community. Do you know the difference if you're running for the assembly? Do you understand that the assembly is with the state, that state senators, they legislate for the state, and that you know the difference between what a state senator does and a city council person does. So competency is very important. This is why political clubs and political parties matter, because we're able to vet you on that. And what I would really prefer is that people join these clubs and they kind of work with these district leaders and the clubs so that they can gain the experience and learn how to move up through the ranks, because that is the way that I think that anything should be done. You come in, you learn the ropes, you move up in the ranks within the framework of the party. And then when there are openings, but of course, anyone can run at any time. But I think if you want the endorsement of the leaders in that particular party, you should at least get to know them.
Thank you, Rosalind. At this time, I'm going to just ask a couple of questions that I see here in the Q&A. And to the attendees who just either joined us or was on our first session, please go to the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen and place your questions there. Rosalind, is there a particular process that a club has when it comes to endorsing candidates?
So every club is different. Some clubs, it's left to the district leaders and not really to the club members, because clubs have members that come and go. They're not necessarily, they just come more or less for the information, because most clubs are, they're a vessel for the electeds to come and give legislative updates and reports. We've tried different things with Douglas King. So for instance, with the presidential election, we had a guest speaker that came in, and we talked a little bit about, the presidential election. And then we just took like a vote on who we would support, because that's a much larger, it's not local. I think with local elections, people are going to support their friends as opposed to the most qualified person. So when we took our vote for presidential, most people selected Joe Biden. So in that instance, the Douglas King Democratic Club went with Joe Biden. But I think with the city council race last year, we had 3 members of our club running. So that would have been too much of a risk to even endorse any of those candidates. So we opted, myself and my co-leader opted not to get involved in that race, to just, let them do their thing.
Okay, we have another question. How does your criteria at all change in the case of judicial candidates?
Okay, so I have been successful in getting 3 judicial candidates to the bench. Okay,
And
so
I would have to add,
as one of the new district leaders since 2016. The first time I went in with a candidate, they looked at me and said, "Okay, come back next year." I don't know if it was the candidate or me, but I went in with the candidate 3 times, actually. Why I went in with this candidate had a vast of experience, the person was a law clerk. So she understood the law. She worked as a law clerk for a Supreme Court justice for over 15 years at the time when I came in with her. She had been an attorney for 20 years. And when she said that she was interested in that, I had to actually take her around to meet other district leaders. She had to work in our club, and she had to be a member of our club. And like I said, I went in with her 3 times. The 3rd time was the charm for her. The second person that I walked in with she was an appointed judge. She was appointed by the mayor, I think Bloomberg at the time. And she was almost at her 10th year, which she would have expired, and she needed to actually be elected at that point. And so I went in with her the first time. She didn't get in. And this was a woman who was a supervising judge. So she had a vast, lots of experience. And I went in with her, and the second time she was able to get on the Supreme Court bench, but she had already been an attorney for 10 years. The third person was someone who worked very, very hard in the community, who everyone knew, who had such passion about wanting to become a judge. And, she basically earned that from us, earned the trust of the district leaders. She earned the trust of the legislators in our district. It wasn't difficult holding her candidacy. But I am one who encourages, and anyone who knows me, they know I encourage people from our community, people of color, especially women, but not excluding the men. But I encourage people to run for office, especially the bench, and not just through for civil court, but I encourage them to put in applications with the federal government, with the state government, and with the city government, with the mayor's office.
Well, thank you so much, District Leader, for your service. And yes, I believe many of us who are members of the judiciary can bear witness that the candidates that you've put up who are now judges are fine, assets to the judiciary, and we want to thank you for that because representation counts. We have a question here. For those spanking new to the political process, what does a political club do, and why is it so important to get an endorsement from a political club?
So as I said before, if you are running, you have to select a party. You can't just say, well, I'm going to run. You have to first say to yourself, I have to run in a party, okay? And the two primary parties are the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Yes, you can run in the Independent Party. So if you are running in the Democratic Party, so I'm going to, because I'm a Democratic district leader, so I'm going to stay on that track. If you are running as a Democrat, you would want the blessings of the party because you need people to help you carry your petitions. It's hard out there to carry petitions. You need people, you need endorsements. As Ms. Achapong had mentioned to you before, you want union endorsements and you want political endorsements. When you go with a political club, you get the endorsement of the district leader, and then you will 9 times out of 10 get the endorsement of the legislators in that district. So you'll get the city council person, you'll get the endorsement of the state assembly person, the state senator, and the Congress person. So how good does that look to someone who is a candidate for office? You got your union endorsements, and now you got the political endorsements. These are the people in your community who serve, who see you, who support you. That is why it's important. You can say, well, I don't need them, I'm going to run, but good luck, because it may not work out for you. I was there. I did not get the support of a party, but I probably had the support of the people because they saw me coming and going. So that, did I answer the entire question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very well. Another question. What are your thoughts regarding the concept of splitting the votes, or splitting the vote, excuse me, meaning many candidates running for the same seat and appealing to similar voters, candidates who are basically fishing in the same pond? What are your thoughts?
I don't tell people what to do. I am one of those very few people. I say, if you want to run for office, you should run. I don't believe in the waiting for your turn. I don't believe in any of those things that a lot of people will mention. But I will say, if you are going to run and you are 22, you better be someone like a Khalil Anderson, because that boy was out there, man, he's a man, okay? But when I met him, he was trying to organize a bus to go to Philadelphia in the Rockaways to get people on the bus to knock on doors for Barack Obama. So he is someone that I have seen, probably more than any of the young people, working for a long time, okay? At least since 2011 when I met him. And so if you're someone like him, yeah, I say go for it. Swimming in the same pond. And guess what? He didn't get the endorsement. He didn't get the endorsement because people felt he was too young at the time. But I said, you know what, that guy is on fire. And what happens is too, when you are part of the organization, right? The organization, once they sort of kind of formally endorse a person, you sort of, most of the executive members, it's like, you vote for a person as a party endorsement. And then most of the time you go with that person. And there are times when you just can't, there are times when I had to say, well, you know what, I'm sorry, no disrespect to the party, but I just can't go with this person, okay? But I don't make a lot of noise about it. I'm not trying to be insulting about it, but I just say no. I'm just not going to do it. And it happens. It happens where you have disagreements, fundamental disagreements. But yes, that can happen where the parties, the vote is being split. hey, that's politics. I worked on when Michael Blake was running against Jumaane Williams. Everyone wanted to go with Jumaane Williams because Jumaane Williams was much more well-known than Michael Blake. But I liked Michael, and I went with Michael. Michael didn't win, but we tried. You know what I'm saying? We tried. And so that happens at times.
Okay. And I just want to shout out a couple of folks. I see your colleague, District Leader Sherwin James, is on the line. We also had Aaliyah from Black Resource Network, Kevin Livingston, and of course, I see my brother, Derek Davis, who is a heavyweight out here in Southeast Queens when it comes to politics. Rosalind, we have a couple of comments, in fact. One person said, I'm happy that you feel folks don't have to wait their turn. And if they feel like running, they should run. So I think they're aligned with you in that concept that they shouldn't have to wait their turn. Rosalind, can you talk to us a little bit about the interplay between the various local clubs and the Queens County? If you could talk to us about that.
When you say local, do you mean in Southeast Queens or
Meaning
local?
Scarborough, Douglas, King.
Oh, okay.
And what's the interplay between those Democratic clubs and the county?
So I think there's much respect and love for our fellow district leaders. Prior to COVID, we met more frequently, where we would just have, I would say every couple of months we would get together and have breakfast together and talk. With COVID, it seems like I haven't seen a lot of people lately. And, I think that the relationship is good, but, there are times when we may not all be with the same candidate, and then we just have to not take anything personal. For those of you who know me, you know that I worked on the Eric Adams campaign last year. I ran his campaign for the borough of Queens. The Eric Adams campaign, the team came to me and they asked me if I would run it. I said, sure. A lot of people were with Ray McGuire at that time. And that was just that. I mean, you have differences of who you feel would be the best candidate. Like I said, it happened with the Michael Blake and Jumaane Williams race. You don't take any of this personal. Yes, you it gets to the point where it's politics, it's fun. And, you might want to take off the Vaseline on one day or two, but you have to realize that we all love our community, and we all want the best for our community. And I think that, like I said, prior, when we were all meeting in person, the district leaders would come to my club, I would come to their club meetings, and we just support one another. I think we all support one another most of the times, and I think the relationship is great.
Excellent. A couple more quick shout outs, but I would be remiss. You mentioned Eric Adams, and we have with us a heavyweight in that space, Brother Terry Banks from Southeast Queens, and Rose Guerriere and Dr. Shango Blake, because I know Queens actually brought the victory home to Brother Adams. He won by, I think, 8,000 votes, a little bit more than 8,000 votes, and the greater majority of the votes came from Queens, more specifically Southeast Queens. So kudos this district leader for that. What are some characteristics that would give a thumbs down to candidates seeking endorsement from a political club?
So I would say from myself, and
Rosalind, this is a family. We're family, so I saw you have to think about it. Usually, you don't have to think about much.
I actually basically said that decorum, and there are people, and like I said, I'm always looking for somebody like me, like a young me and an old me, somebody who's been grinding. I think for someone, I don't care how polished you are, if I never saw you in my life doing one thing and no one can vouch for you, that is a thumbs down for me. That's a thumbs down. I don't care. If I ask you about nonprofits in the community and you can't name one, If I ask you about troubled communities in our community and you can't name one, you don't know that Bricktown's in trouble, you don't know that Hollis is in trouble, then you don't know certain parts of Jamaica are in trouble. You don't know we have potholes, we can't even drive down our streets, and we got to get rid of that. If you don't know the issues of our community, okay, you're not going to get a thumbs up from me, not at all. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to be the kind of person, anyone that knows me, I'm not going to say it behind your back. I'm going to tell you, come back next year because you don't know anything. Okay, come back.
Rosalind, we're going to wrap up this session, and
I'm sorry, there was something that that I was supposed to present really quick, so I just want to kind of go through it. And this is basically positions that most people don't know about. So you don't have to just run for the assembly or for city council. There are positions that people very rarely know about and run for. One is county committee. That is one way that you can get to know what's going on in the community. County committee, basically, they're the ones that select. We have a vote every 2 years, and we elect those persons that are serving as the county committee chair and so on and so forth. We have judicial delegates, which we need people to vote on those judicial delegates at the judicial convention. We have state committee members who have to go in and nominate the state party, as we just had a state convention where they nominated the governor and the lieutenant governor. And then you have judges. People should run for judicial positions if you meet those requirements. And lastly, you can run for a presidential delegate like I did. So there are positions that you can run for. You don't have to go straight for that. I think that people should A, join a political club. B, run for something small and get yourself on a ballot so that at least that's resume building. And C, help circulate petitions for others. If you don't help other people in their races, they're not going to help you in yours.
Thank you so much. And as we wrap this particular part of the session up, Rosalind, district leader, I just want to say thank you so very much. And I got in a little bit of trouble because I gave Southeast Queens tremendous amount of props here. And I just received a text, Brother Jacques, Northern Queens is up here too. And I'm like, oh man. So to all my people in Corona, Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst, Lorinda Hooks, I'm putting you on blast. You're the one that sent the text. My great sister, Lorinda Hooks, who's doing a great job up there in Northern Queens, getting good folks elected and staying the course and holding elected officials accountable. We want to say thank you. And this is more than a Southeast Queens political boot camp. This is actually a citywide boot camp that we're having. And from the information you're receiving, I'm sure you all can agree that this information is helpful irrespective of where you are in the city of New York, and actually in the state as well, if you're thinking about running a state campaign or a city campaign. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Northern Queens. We wouldn't have gotten Eric in without them. So I had a lot of interaction with Northeast Queens, and I don't want to start naming some of the people, but
see, you're gonna get in trouble too. You're about to get some text messages as well, Rosalind. But thank you so much, Rosalind, and I'm gonna see you on the battlefield. You know that. And is there any particular announcement? Okay, we lost Rosalind. We'll probably try to get her on later. I know she's having a debate party at some point regarding the governor's race, and wanted to know if you want to share that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So yes, we are having with the National Pan-Atlantic Council on April the 4th. We are having a gubernatorial debate forum. Please tune in. I want to make sure that we are well informed and prepared for our community. Thank you.
Thank you much again, Rosalind. At this time, we're going to go into our next presentation. This person needs no introduction as well. If you're in the political circles, if you're in the labor movement, you know she's one that brings, she carries a big stick. And she's the vice president of legislation and political activities of DC 37, Social Service Employees Union, the mighty local 371. And she also sits on the PAC committee for DC 37. In fact, if you've been a candidate or if you staffed a campaign at a high level, you've seen her, because she's at those screening committees, interviewing candidates for the labor movement. And she's one that many of the candidates who get elected, well, they come to our panelists here, the vice president of DC 37, Local 371, Michelle Achakopong. Michelle, I know you're gonna kill me, but I'm getting better with that last name.
You are.
I am, right?
A chompong.
A chompong. Michelle Chompong. And she's also my sister, Omega Kappa Fraternity Incorporated, and this my sister from Delta Sigma Theta. Michelle, a chompong. I got it.
You got it, bro. Good morning,
Michelle,
everyone.
Michelle will talk a bit about how to obtain labor movement endorsement, and in a city like New York, that's labor strong, very critical to a campaign. Michelle Chompong.
Good morning, all. I'm so happy to be here. I want to thank LMV for inviting me as a speaker for this candidate boot camp. And it's important to have the tools to build a successful campaign from the foundation. When you're thinking about it, when you're getting it together to run, when you're thinking about running or working for a campaign, it's our time to make a difference in our communities and have it prosper from our tax dollars. I will speak about the importance of union endorsements and how to obtain union endorsements so we can navigate this process really simple with ease. I'm a member of the Political Screening Committee of District Council 37, which has over 130,000 members, and we are the largest public sector union in New York City. I'm also the political director for Central Labor Council, which encompasses all public and private unions in New York. So as Jacques has said, you will see my beautiful face more than once when you come before, anytime you're interviewing. I am also you can say I'm the lobbyist for 371 as well in federal, state, and city. So the beginning of our process, the first thing you need to do is contact the political director of each organization. So we're saying DC 37, that would be Erica Vargas, and also in CLC right now, that would be Lucia Gomez. And you tell them that you're running for a seat and that you would like an interview. And you complete a question, they will send you a questionnaire and you complete it. And please, if you do not complete the questionnaire and you have someone else do it, please read that before attending the interview, because we're sitting there waiting for you. We go over those interview questions and the questionnaires, and we say, did this person fill this out? So you need to know some background about us. Go on the websites, look at what we do, who our members are, because you have to remember that our members are your constituents. And they come back and they bring the information. They say, well, this person hasn't done anything in our community. We haven't seen them, or they just come around when it's time to sign petitions, or they need our vote. So it's important that you do that because we listen to our members. And sometimes, as Taquana has said, sometimes we may do something a little different, but we explain to our members why it is that we're doing this. So we're asking that you be ready as you sit before presidents, business agents, assigned members that the presidents may not be able to attend and they send someone else. I am the sponsor for 371. My president really does not show up. He comes when he has to, but because I am the political vice president, I show up to those screenings. So it's important that you understand that. Don't get before us and say, oh, my grandmother, my grandfather was a union member. We're not worrying about that. What we're thinking about is, what have you done for the community prior to you running for this seat? What impact have you had? Do they know you? Does the community know you? How much money have you raised? Can you talk about the issues that are before us, our legislative priorities? Because you can't come before us. Right now, we have the New York Health Care Act, and also we're talking about teleworking. You can't write on a questionnaire that you are for it, and you don't even know what our stand is or our priority is. So it's important that you know that, because if you come before us and you come wrong, we're going to let you have it. We're going to let you know that this is not our priority. It may be yours, but if you're coming to seek endorsement from us, then you have to be on the same accord as we are. We're not saying 100% do everything that we ask you to do, but if you come before us and want our endorsement, we expect you to be ready to help labor out and to be there for us, and we can give you a call. It's nothing worse than you passing a bill, putting your name on a bill as a co-sponsor or a sponsor, and that bill hurts us. And you come to us later on and we tell you, like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, you didn't know because you didn't take the time out to contact us and say, listen, how does this affect you? How does it affect your members? So that's very important. Jack, you're muted.
Thanks again, Michelle. I think your presentation is excellent, especially when it comes to, don't come to those screening, because I've been in those screening rooms. Don't come to the screening room and don't know the answer to the questionnaire that you submitted, right, and you're supposed to have done it yourself, right? Your question. But you did say something that I want to push back a little bit on. You said, well, you can't be with us 100%. We don't expect you to be with us 100%. I don't know. In those screening rooms, it seemed like you're asking 100%. Sometimes
we know that because we're public labor. We know that sometimes you may have to bend a little with the private, with the community organizations. We understand that, but we're saying for the most part, you better be with us. That's why we're endorsing you. That's why we're putting boots on the ground for you as we go out and we get petition signs, as we go out and we carry your palm cards. We go door knocking. You know, we put it on our websites. We ask our members to get involved in your campaign. So it's important to know that we expect you to be there for us.
So how does a candidate or a campaign learn about unions besides just, doing a Google search? How can they actually get involved and support some of the positions and causes of a campaign or of a union prior to even running?
Okay. The simplest thing they can really do is you can look online, you could call us, you could reach out to the unions. I tell everyone they could reach out to me. Just call folks and say, listen, we have a directory. Call them, say, listen, what is your priority? Are you having any rallies? What's going on? What's really affecting your people? So that you could come to a rally, give us a call. And that's how you begin to start saying, okay, I'm gonna be involved in labor. You may have some members, some family members that are part of our locals, and you can just speak to them as well.
Okay. This chat room is on fire. It's so I know I won't be able to get to all of the questions, but I get to a few. If a candidate has legitimately challenged or has legitimately, changed from anti-union to pro-union, do they even have a shot of getting an endorsement?
Well, you're going to have to explain to us what changed your mind. And if you can get through all of us, because on DC 37 screening committee is about at least 14 of us. It's not every president on there. And in CLC, there's at least 20 of us. So if you get through us, then you're good, because we let you have it. We had he's no longer a senator, that crossed the picket line when Verizon was when they were having their strike. And he crossed, and folks told him, don't do it. He said, well, I have to pay my bill. Well, he came before us and we ripped him apart. He was like, oh, I'm sorry about that, but I'm here now. And he did not get our endorsement, and he's no longer senator. So you have to be mindful, because you never know where our people are. And you may say something at DC 37, and you get to CLC and say something different. And trust me, I'm going to let you have it. And I'm going to have the evidence to show that you said this over here.
So you're going to have the receipts, huh?
Receipts, got the receipts. I understand the assignment.
Yes, ma'am. And we have a question from President Francois. He states, can you speak on how a member of the union always feel they should get an automatic endorsement when they decide to run for office? I guess President Francois is speaking to the instance where, you know, a union member who's could be politically active now goes before the union and thinks that because they're a member of the union, they should automatically get the endorsement. How does that work?
Absolutely. Hi, Big Press. I just want to say that just because you're a union member doesn't automatically make you a candidate or we endorse you. I've had some members, unfortunately, they say, well, oh, I'm a member, so can I get your endorsement? Does the community know you? How much money have you raised? What are you doing? I don't even see you come to a PAC meeting. So how are people supposed to know who you are? And it's not automatic. It's about what can you do for the community? Are you ready to do it? And how much money you have raised in order to show us that I have people behind me, I have a base. So sometimes they believe that, oh, I'm a union member, I could just come up. No, that's not how it works. So you got to be ready on all fronts when you come before us. Just because you're a member does not automatically make you an endorsed candidate by us.
Okay, another question we have here, Michelle. Do you endorse multiple candidates in the same district or same race, considering ranked choice voting is now here?
Well, the last time we did not do ranked choice voting, we just voted for one person. I guess now we will look at that to see that maybe we should, not even maybe, that we should do ranked choice voting. So that would be something that we're looking at now. But in the past, we have not done so because it was new. Folks were all over the place. They didn't understand that. But I think that we should do ranked choice voting.
Okay, next question. What does a union endorsement really mean? And does, I'm going, this is written in Ebonics, so I'm going to put it, and how can unions assist in a political race, or just endorsements, paper endorsements, or are they real endorsements when it comes, and when we say real endorsements, boots on the ground, finances, etc.?
So we don't just put our name on anything. We make sure that we're politically active, because we don't want just to say that you were endorsed. What we do, and because of COVID, we really haven't had opportunity to do that because folks are really leery about going out. But prior to COVID, and now hopefully we'll get out of that mode, we make sure that endorsement means financial. Don't be looking for us for thousands of dollars, okay? We're not doing $20,000 to your campaign and trying to fully financially support you. You know, you come to the union, that's all you have to do. That's not what we do. We give you money, we'll give you some, and with DC 37, that means that you can go to the separate locals who have endorsed you to get funds from. The separate locals will send members out. They will make sure DC 37 will set up a campaign office for you, aside from what you're doing. And what they do is we go out, we make phone calls for you, we do the phone banking. Like I said, we'll help you sometimes get your petitions. Well, no, we don't even do petitions. Let me not say that because you have to be able to get on the ballot before we even endorse you. But we take out your palm cards. We go to the train stations. We try to do most of that, you know, to help and assist. Don't think because you got our endorsement, you can sit back and not do anything, because that's not it. We assist.
Got it. Because and I'm glad you brought up that point, because sometimes the misnomer is that, well, if I get a union endorsement, I'm riding. I'm on cruise control. They're going to do all the work, and that's not the case at all.
Absolutely.
Michelle, another question. What do you feel about dual endorsements supporting two candidates at one time in the same race? What are your feelings on that?
We don't do that. We choose one. We don't do both. We don't say, oh, both of these are running for city council. We want both of them. That's not what we do, because we make recommendations to our exec board. It's not just us. When you're on DC 37's screening committee, we make a recommendation to the executive board. The executive board takes that under consideration. Those presidents vote on it, and then they take it directly to our delegates meeting that we have. So we have delegates at the meeting from each local, and then they make the deciding factor whether we should endorse or not endorse. But we only do one candidate at a time. We don't do two.
Okay. Another question. At what point should we reach out to you for an endorsement? Should we have raised a lot of money or not? Since unfortunately money is about a candidate that is serious. Also, for the interview, can the candidate have a representative, or does it has to be the candidate or a staffer?
So
that's two questions in one, in a sense.
right. So if the staffer is running, then the staffer shows up. If you are the candidate, you better not show up. You better not have somebody represent you. That's not what we do. That's the first time. If you do that, you can forget it. Because if you don't have the time to come before us to even speak to us about what you're running for and what your priorities will be, then we don't have the time for that. And the other question was?
The money situation. How much money does a candidate have to raise before they're considered a serious candidate before the union?
We don't say there's an amount. You can't come in there talking about you have $1,000. And also you have to be able to say, usually what we do is we wait till after, like right now, petitions are out, right? So you have to get on the ballot. If you're not on the ballot, it doesn't make sense for us to interview you and then you get knocked off the ballot, right? So, or you get knocked off before you get on the ballot. So what we do is we try to wait until after the petitioning is over, you're able to get on, no one has knocked you off, and then you come before us. So you come before us for the primary, and then you come before us for the general. And you always have to remember, because you received our endorsement in the primary, doesn't mean it's an automatic for the general. So you need to call back those same people that you contacted the first time and say, listen, I've won the primary. Now I'm seeking endorsement for the general. So I would like to have an interview.
And if a candidate doesn't receive the endorsement on his or her first run, does that mean that they will never receive an endorsement from the union?
Absolutely not. Sometimes we choose candidates and sometimes they don't win or they drop out or something. So if you say you win the primary and we have not endorsed you, you can come to us for the general. And we will say, okay, we'll look at you. And it's a possibility that we will more than likely support you, unless you've really done something egregious to labor and said, nope, we're still not going to endorse you. But we've had candidates where we've endorsed, they've lost, and the other candidate has won. And we go to them and we say, listen, you have won now, and we would like to build a relationship because you're going to be here and you're going to be, you're going to represent our constituents who are our members.
And how do unions determine how much resources to put in a particular race?
Well, you can send a letter and request, but it's up to the union itself on what they give and how much they're willing to put out on you. So it's not just one figure. Every local can do something different. Big Prez, he may do something like 5,000. 371 may do something like 2,000. So that, it's determined by the local And in my local, we what do I say? We request and we ask our executive board. They make the determination.
Okay. And Michelle, thanks for bringing that up, because oftentimes you're actually not a candidate until you get on the ballot.
Right.
Up until that point, you're just someone who's aspiring to get on the ballot to become a candidate. And if you need any help with getting on the ballot, hence LMV Law Group.
And sometimes we don't even, sometimes we may say no endorsement.
Okay.
Because we're saying that we don't know, politics may get involved. Someone's pulling you and saying, listen, I need you to do this one. I need you to do that one. And sometimes you say, you know what? In some of these primaries, we stay out of it. May the best man or woman win. And then we go from there.
Got it. Well, Michelle, the questions are coming in. And what we've done, we've asked our team to record the questions. And at some later point, we're going to make sure that the panelists get the question, and hopefully we can feed it back to those who are asking the questions. And we want to thank you so very much. I know today is a big day for you. Your sorority have some big things happening. I understand. I don't know. That's what I heard. I don't know. But in Staten Island,
I missed something today because I said, listen, my friend, he asked me to do this. He's my bro. I got to do this. So now I'll get off and I'll go over there.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And we want to also send greetings to your president, President Anthony Wells, for the tremendous job that you're doing on behalf of working people here in New York City and ensuring that we have workplace justice for our folks. And again, we can't thank you enough. So, Michelle, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that, Jack, because I will get killed on Monday if I did not mention my president, Anthony Wells. We're the second largest union in DC 37.
Go ahead,
so,
brag.
Yes, thank
Go
you
ahead,
so
brag
much. Thank you so
much.
much for doing this for the community. We really need it. Everyone, we need to, as Taquana said, we need to go Black, right? There's many of us out there that you can, call upon to do this work. We do it better than some of those because we know our issues in our community. So thank you so much, Jock. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. And to our attendees, this is just the first half. The second half is going to be equally or even more dynamic than the first half. So we want to make sure that you stay with us. We're going to take a pause for the cause at around 12 p.m., 12 noon, and then come back at 12:30. You could stay on. You don't have to log off. In fact, we would rather you stay on. And we also want to, before we dismiss this afternoon, provide you information to the consultants, the folks who are presenting today, because you may want, if you're thinking about running for office, you may want to contact them at a later time. Or if you want to staff a campaign, you may want to contact them. Or if you're an entrepreneur that want to provide services for a campaign, whether it's digital work, whether it's communication work, financial, or cooking some food, as Taquana mentioned earlier, there'll be an opportunity to contact some of these consultants and political professionals regarding various campaigns. Don't leave yet. I want again to thank our Assembly member, Chairwoman Ranise Bashart. I want to thank Taquana Henderson, who we'll see later on this afternoon, and as well as Michelle Achakampong for a morning session that we think was just dynamic. And there's a whole lot left. And I know the Q&A chat room is just buzzing. We're going to try to get to all your questions, but they're coming in rapid fire.